These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Hartman in and scores! And Ryan Hartman has Minnesota in front. Fiala scores! Kevin Fiala had about 3 whacks at the rebounds. 2-0 Minnesota. A centering pass. Foligno scores! And Minnesota scores just as the power play expires to extend the lead to 3-1. A solid effort by the Minnesota Wild.
Blades on the ice, we
You sing it, Dex. You sing it.
We took our knocks in the penalty box. Ryan Hartman is the MVP.
Oh, you like that one?
That was good. That was very good. All right. No Mackey for part 1. So we have Action Movie Rewind coming up, which full disclosure, pre-recorded on Thursday because Phil is not here today, so he will be on that. It is Beverly Hills Cop 2. We had a lot of thoughts about said film, but Mackey is away, and so the hockey boys will play.
That's right.
I'd like to start playing by talking about the Wild's opponent last night.
Okay. Yeah, a very, very worthy opponent.
Do you remember
when serious rallies?
Do you remember when I think we were doing a preseason Judd's hockey show, and I told you that the Wild was very blessed to have been put in the West Division, because the California teams were bad and or terrible.
Yes,
and I told you at the time, I'm not really sure here. Like Kings, Sharks, Ducks. Is one of them going to be improved a lot? Like, I don't know for sure. I just know that they were bad and all missed the return to play because they weren't included in the bubble. I think it's fair to rank them now. Okay, the Kings.
Of the 3 county teams? Okay.
Yes. I think the Kings are the best of the worst.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Kings aren't. I think they're coming back. Like they've got some young talent.
I agree. Okay.
Byfield is going to be next to come up, I think. So I think the Kings have some building blocks that are with them right now. So I sort of like the Kings. I don't love them by any means.
I like that Kempke kid.
Exactly. Exactly right.
Yeah, Lazat. Yep, they're fine.
The Sharks, they're long in the tooth, but they've still got some players. They are not good.
No.
But I think they're second on my list.
They're more talented. They have more talent.
Fair.
They have more talent, I think, than either of the 3 teams. But yes, I don't know if that makes them the best.
And they're older, and some of that talent, i.e. Erik Karlsson and Brett Burns, are probably dropping off so much.
Sure.
That leaves us with the Anaheim Ducks.
Oh, boy.
Now, Trevor Zegras is not with the team yet. I believe he's playing in the American Hockey League. He was an absolute stud in World Juniors, and he's going to be good. So they do have some players coming along. I don't know when. I don't know why they're not here now. It makes no sense to me.
Sure.
But this current product that the Ducks are fielding, let me say this. If you're a Ducks fan, the best thing to happen is you can't go to games. That was, and I'm not sure what your observation, because I did get one tweet last night saying, what are you talking about? But just one. My observation of last night's game was I almost fell asleep.
Yeah. Oh, I did too. Didn't help. I was a couple Corona Hard Seltzers in too.
I was 3 beers in, and I didn't fall asleep, but I almost did.
Sure.
Again, thank God for the Ducks, because I don't think that the Wild played a very good game. I also don't think it matters.
Mm-hmm.
So, point 1, the Ducks are a savior, and you play them again tomorrow. And if you don't get 2 points, you've done something very wrong.
Correct. Yeah, no, the Ducks are bad. They are the worst of the California teams. We can go back and rank them and say who's better, who's worse, but it's pretty obvious that the Ducks are indeed the worst team. John Gibson's still a good goalie.
John Gibson is. He didn't have a great night last night. No. I thought a couple of those goals were a bit suspect, but yes, he is why they're not absolutely god-awful. They're just awful.
He'll steal them a couple games this year.
Can I ask a question? And I'd like you to rule on this for me.
No problem.
And I know that because you don't get Fox Sports North, you don't watch a lot of the local telecasts now.
And I have takes to bring from the Ducks broadcast
okay, good.
Too, by the way.
Then we can start those right now.
Okay.
But I would like to ask you a question about how I should approach something.
Okay.
So I'm coming to my sports son to ask him this.
Okay, yeah, ready.
Because I know that COVID is a big deal. Like, people get it and get super sick. So it's not like, man, it's just a cold.
Yep.
But how long, what's the moratorium on using the break and the fact that the Wild didn't play for 12 or 13 days as a reason for why they don't look good? Because we're at 2 games now, and Tuesday I totally got, last night I'm starting to be like, okay, but a lot of guys have been back now for a couple games, but I still sort of get it. But in fairness, where should the line in the sand be as far as I just no longer need to hear this?
Like in a pie chart of blame of for COVID and against
like
COVID?
when should I get annoyed that the Wild's long break is used almost every time something goes wrong or there's a bad pass? Like at what point, like is Saturday's game it? After that, should we be past because lots of teams had breaks.
Yeah.
And I believe the Devils, since returning from their break, are 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to know what you think is a fair point for me to have my trigger tripped where I can go off and say, enough of this.
I think by the end of Saturday's game, you'll hopefully stop hearing about it because by then, I mean, everyone's off the list, right? Like everyone now is completely off the list. They're now the remaining players are flying privately.
They put Hammond on
Cali.
it, but he's the third goalie, so it doesn't matter, or fourth goalie, so it doesn't matter.
I think Talbot might end up starting on Saturday still.
Okay.
So I think by the end of Saturday, you should probably stop hearing about the COVID situation.
Okay.
Because at that point, everyone should be back. And look, guys like, Dakota Mermis are playing admirable roles, and that's great. And he had a good game, but I want the full team back at full strength. Okay, like Kalen Addison.
Kalen Addison can still play, right?
He can still play. I would rather, if any one of all these subs that had to come in because of the COVID situation, I would like to see Addison remain in the lineup. But
Agreed.
Dakota Mermis, you can come out. Louis Belpillo got reassigned. All these other guys got reassigned.
Those guys didn't play.
No, they didn't. They're not NHL players. They're like
Belpillo and who was that? Barkowski didn't play well.
Just miserable.
Mermis actually didn't look terrible.
No, he didn't.
He got the chance.
Fine.
But yeah, I just want to know what the point is where I can just start to melt down about the fact that I'm just tired of hearing that there was a break because a lot of teams have had to deal with this.
Yeah. No, I think
this isn't a wild thing.
I don't think you'll hear any more of it after Saturday. So you'll probably hear a little bit of it on Saturday, and that'll be the end of it.
Fair enough.
I think that'll be it, and then you can move on.
All right. Your takes from the Ducks telecast.
Well, number one, they have an amazing setup, just like we do here at the TCL Broadcast Studios. They have the TCL bar in Anaheim, right in the Honda Center. They built a bar. It's got TCL logos.
I love this idea.
Right in front of draft beers. I mean, Judd, you could have, if you were doing the show, you could just reach right back while you're talking, who's on the half wall on the power play and pour yourself a nice beverage. You could absolutely do that. I enjoyed
Declan
it.
Goff would.
I would too.
Corona hard seltzer.
I would be
for
reaching
Declan.
back. I said, hey, let me just grab one of these seltzers here. I would love a tap seltzer someday. I would love to experience that. I haven't experienced that before. But a nice cold can, absolutely a Corona hard seltzer I'll take. Yes, I try to watch the opposing broadcasts as much as possible due to the fact that I don't have Fox Sports North.
Yeah, it's not like you're trying to sample. No, you just don't have Fox Sports North.
I don't have Fox Sports North.
Mm-hmm.
And I use other means. Phil Mackey and I have a certain set of skills.
Which we will not divulge, Liam Neeson.
That we watch our hockey and basketball games on because we don't have Fox Sports North right now. So I enjoyed the broadcast. They cited good things. I loved too how it's amazing listening to a broadcast that isn't complete homers. The Ducks broadcast, they weren't afraid to rip them. They weren't also afraid when there was, I enjoyed the commentary when there was a play where I believe Fiala or Kaprizov had a point blank shot. Someone fed him below the net. He had a point blank shot and I think they fired it right on Gibson's chest. It should have been a better shot.
Mm-hmm.
And the commentator said, well, if that was more of a clean pass and you get more of his momentum on, that's going to beat John Gibson every single time. Because the pass is a little off. It goes right into Gibson's gut. He makes an easy save, but in general, Gibson probably doesn't make that save. You would never hear that on the local broadcast. You would hear, what a save, what a great positioning and this and that. I just enjoy hearing other perspective. When I was listening to the Kings game on Tuesday, Alex Faust, who is one of the most dynamite play-by-play guys and the up-and-coming
He's a kid, you said, right?
He's 33.
Wow.
He was Westwood One's play-by-play guy for hockey for a while.
Sure.
And then he did some NESN Red Sox fill-in a couple years ago when their main guy, I forget his name off the top of their head, but their main TV guy, I think, took a few games off for whatever reasons, and Faust stepped in.
Jack Edwards.
Yes.
A raging homer. The worst in the league.
Faust is great. They cite Natural Stat Trick, the website I use to find all my analytics.
Oh, I like that.
I love that. FSN
is
somewhat dabbling into that. I've seen some graphics where now they're starting to use it a little bit.
Valley Sports North will.
But they mention shot attempts. They don't mention shots on goal. They mention high danger situations. There isn't. Look, they are team employees, so they're employed by the team, and that I understand the rhetoric that they have to use. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you can still be objective. It's why I like Jim Pete. It's why I do like Wes Walls. It's why I enjoy another perspective on the broadcast. It isn't the same guys over and over again regurgitating the same information. So outside that was the most interesting takeaway probably from a mostly boring hockey game for me.
It was a very boring hockey game.
But there's some other things that I would like to get into too.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the TV, and he's a longtime TV analyst for the Ducks, is Brian Hayward, who was a goaltender for the North Stars for a short period of time, but he was a goalie, I think for the Jets, and he played quite a while in the league, and he's been doing analysis, I think, of the Ducks for quite some time.
Sure.
And I don't think he cares what he says as far as the team being mad. But you know what? You bring up a great point. If I ran Bally Sports North, I would have every analyst that I employ sit down and watch Jim Pete.
Yeah. He gets it.
Well, he gets it, but he's great at bringing passion. Like, he wants the Wolves to win.
Yep.
Which is admirable. I have no problem with that. But he doesn't suffer fools.
D'Angelo Russell makes that big shot.
And Edwards, he constantly goes back and forth on, that's a great play, that's a terrible. Ricky, veteran, right?
Yeah.
He makes a dumb play, bang, Jim Pete's on that. But the good thing is, if you're a Wolves fan, he doesn't do it destructively like, let's say, I would. He does it in a way that says, I want the Wolves to win.
Yeah.
But that's a terrible play, and here's why.
Right.
It's great stuff. And his tutorials now, I learn something every time.
Yes.
Again, my main question is, when I tune into your telecast, and I know a lot about the sport, but you know way more than I do, am I going to learn something? And I think that should be the main question for every fan. And when I turn into Wolves games, I can't tell you the last time that I walked away saying, I didn't learn a damn thing here. So, clear something up here.
Sure.
There was confusion last night.
Okay.
After the last goal that I believe you played at the open of the show, Marcus Foligno's goal.
Yes.
It came exactly 2 minutes on the clock after the Wild went on a power play, meaning that for a brief time, it was a power play goal. 4 for 50. But then I saw that our guy Russo tweeted that after he talked to, I don't know if it was an in-arena official or someone at the league, they actually had gone back and reviewed the seconds again. Yeah. Not a power play goal, still a goal,
right? But
not a power play goal. And the power play is now 3 for 50. And Dex, as you told me in a text last night, it's inexplicable. Like, there's nothing you can do to break down.
I can't.
They've tried everything. They flipped I think it was the second or third power play last night that the Wild had, where they flipped and had the second unit start instead of the first one. Everything they try and nothing works. And here's the thing. Do you feel like, because I do you feel like it's looking and getting worse?
Yeah.
I don't feel like they're closer.
No.
It's not getting worse. It's not like I watch that power play and say, you know what? I sort of see it here. It's not clicking, but if not for this one play. But Dex, I watched that thing again last night. I think it's regressing.
Yeah, it's getting worse. Last night, all but 4 players had at least 25 seconds of power play time. Nico Sturm and Ryan Hartman technically had 1 second of power play time, but Sturm, Hartman, Johansson, and Nick Bukestad were the only 4 players that did not get power play time last night.
And I think when Foligno actually got that goal, I think he was coming on for a new shift that was not a power play shift.
Correct. He said that in the post game, that it was something. He got a little confused that why am I going out there?
But he wasn't a power play guy.
Didn't realize that he was going to be on the power play. But Parise, 5.5 minutes of power play time. Kalen Addison, 4.5. Greenway, 4.5. Dumba, 4.5. Spurgeon, Kaprizov, Suter, 4.5. Eck, 4.36. Fiala, 4.36. Zuccarello, 4.15. Nick Bonino got 1 minute and 9 seconds. Dakota
you know
Mermis.
why? You know why? Because they tried the Parise trick with the second group again. They tried the Parise at center trick, and it didn't work.
Right. And
so they bailed and put Bonino there because he's their only real guy that can win a faceoff. That's part of the problem here is they can't get control of the puck.
No.
That's the problem. It's regressing because they can't get control.
And there was so many moments where I would just close my eyes in disgust and anger when it was on the far side and no one's there to pinch. No one's there to pinch.
No.
It goes right back around. No one's on the half wall. No one's up to pinch. And I'm not going to pretend again to be a power play specialist like I was texting you last night. I'm not going to sit here and pretend and understand what goes in to a power play to be successful. Same reason why I'm not going to get on like what makes a goal line stand successful. I don't understand the X's and O's.
That's a
I'm
big
not gonna,
defense, right?
I'm not going to pretend I know what it means to pull as a guard or push or whatever. I need my guy Alex Boone to do that for me. But at the same time, there are so many like just little things that are just frustrating the hell out of me on it. And
they're little, but they're big.
Yeah.
Because they're so glaringly obvious and problematic.
I'm telling you, I'm for declining it and or making a new type of rule. Like you can't give them a shootout because every team would take, or the penalty shot. You can't do that. Like every team would take the penalty shot. I know sometimes in college there's an option for that for certain penalties. For situations, you can take the penalty shot or the power play.
No, I don't think that can happen. No more penalty shots. I'm sick of penalty shots. Get rid of them.
But I would do. It's the idea. AJ Fredrickson too, our weekend producer and who helps us out on Score North. He said the same thing. Do 60 seconds of 3-on-3.
No, I saw that. Yeah,
and I think that's a little aggressive. So I would go 30, and then once that, it doesn't matter if there's a jam, if there's a loose puck. The moment that buzzer ends, the whistle goes.
But but Dex, how do you have Kaprizov and Fiala on your power play and look that bad? I just don't understand it.
Well,
I just don't understand. I don't understand.
You're right. Yeah,
like it's, if you just had all just schlubs out there who weren't good, I'd be like, okay, this stinks, but I sort of get it. But you've got Fiala and Kaprizov, and at times Dumba, who has a howitzer of a shot.
Yep.
Like you've got some guys who should be highly skilled power play type guys, and it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Right. And
don't give me that Foligno goal was a nice goal.
Yeah, no,
but that was not a power. That was not part of the power play structure.
Yeah, no, that wasn't.
Don't give me
that at all. Yeah, it's brutal. It's bad. To be honest, I eventually they're gonna figure something out. They'll get a barrage of them, but I mean, it's awful to watch, man. It's so frustrating. I mean, but there were other good takeaways last night.
Spurgeon came back and played nice.
Played nice. You know who else played very well? And he must have been listening to the podcast. Our boy Dino Ebbison, as you like to call him, Dino.
Yeah.
Matt Zuccarello, very good game.
Yeah, he was engaged.
Solid game.
1 assist. Yeah.
Engaged, was moved up to the top line, deserved to be on that top line.
He needs to be top 6. If he's going to play right now, you're right about that.
The contracts in Albatross, we all can understand that. But at the same time, they need him to perform at a level that is expected of him to be like he was in New York.
And he's got the ability to do it.
And I think he does. Look, I thought a broken arm. I was like, man, that stinks. Because I was really looking forward to him bouncing back and resetting after a bad year. I cursed him last year after he started playing well, as you know. Wrote a nice piece on him. His play went right in the toilet, the kiss of death.
He was playing pretty well before you jinxed him.
Classic Declan Goff, just one kiss and then boom, their life goes away.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he was able to bounce back and play really well. And Kevin Fiala, he gets a dirty goal, a little greasy goal that isn't a flashy one.
I want to talk about him.
But there is something about him, and we'll get into it right now, I think, that when he plays angry, it's a good thing.
He has played on both sides now of the 3-game suspension that he took when he hit the Kings player Roy at the X. Kevin Fiala's played really well.
Yeah.
And it was good to see him get a greasy goal last night just to get a goal. But he had 5 shots. In my opinion, he is doing a lot of the things that you want him to do. And eventually, if he continues down this path, the goals will come. Now, let's go to the flip side of that. And I believe you brought this up on Judd's Hockey Show a couple days ago, and it's proving to be correct. Kaprizov needs to be more selfish still.
Yes.
2 shots last night. Fiala had 5. Fiala and Kaprizov should consistently lead you in shots on goal. Like, I want you to take the puck and shoot. And I want you, your line, Kirill, just flat out. If I were to call Kirill Kaprizov in, I'm Dino, okay?
Dino.
And I would say, I don't want you to repeat this.
Anybody seen Dino?
I don't want you to repeat this in the locker room, Kirill, but I'm going to tell you something right now. You are easily, it's not even close to the best player on the line that I put you on, unless I put you with Kevin. I need you to be selfish. I don't want you to worry. My God, he was with Nick Bukestad last night, okay? Nick Bukestad, who, the more I see him play, there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. It's unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate.
Yes.
But the reality is, I think that there needs to be a private discussion between the coach and Kaprizov, Declan, just saying, I'm never going to get mad if you try and do too much, because the guys that you're with, it's not like you're deferring to a good option.
Sure.
Unless it's in the third period and we're down by a goal or two, and I put you with Fiala, which would change that. I'm never going to get mad if you play a little bit more selfish than what you probably are used to doing or want to do.
Yeah, he's going to have to start just playing just straight up. He has to start playing selfish. Right now, he's only averaging 1.8 shots per game. I need that kid to shoot more. On the flip side, analytically, Kevin Fiala is having a dynamite season.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go in. Let me get into this here. I saw this right before you started bringing up Kaprizov.
Perfect.
His Corsi for 55%. That is pretty damn good. It's where he was in Nashville. That's the mean. So he's out possessing. He's out shooting the puck when he's on the ice. His team is creating more shots than they're allowing. He's starting in the offensive zone 65% of the time. That is by far a career high. Mm-hmm. He's averaging 3.6 shots per game. That's almost a shot and a half more than he's ever averaged in his career. His goal rate is up. His points rate is up. You can tell with the eyes and the analytics that this kid is feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew that when he came back from that suspension, he was ready to go. Even before the dirty play, which was a bad play by him, he admitted fault to it. Unfortunately, earned that 3-game suspension.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you could tell that he wanted to come back and be the player he was before the suspension. And this kid is damn special. I think it is going to cause a interesting contract negotiation talk because if I'm Kevin, I am holding the fort down that, no, you're going to pay me.
And I know what you're going to say.
I'm not taking a bridge deal. I'm not taking a team-friendly deal.
Yep.
I want 4 and 6. I want 4-6 per. I wouldn't be surprised
4
at all.
4 times 6.
If that is what he wants. And to be honest, it's going to be tough to make it work, but he is worth every damn penny. He is everything I wanted him to be. I'm still very glad that this was a good trade. Straight up from Mikhail Granlund for Kevin Fiala because he's selfish. He's a dynamite player. He gets in front of the net. He has the talent. He can play the power play. I'm serious. Kevin Fiala is feeling it. I love to see it and keep playing angry.
And if I'm him or his agent in contract negotiations, I would look Bill Guerin in the eye and say, the one thing I don't want to hear a thing about lack of production when you couldn't give him a center.
Right.
Like, that's not his fault.
No, it's anything. If anything, it's more impressive what he's been able to do.
There's not much that I see about Fiala's game of late, Tex, that I blame him.
No.
Kaprizov, I do. Like, I watch him and say, dude, you have to be more selfish consistently. But I watch Fiala play, and it's frustrating because he lacks a person to facilitate for him. Hey, what name did you text me last night? The nickname that you've given Ryan Hartman.
All reliable.
I like this.
I'm calling him all reliable.
I like this.
He always seems to show up in situations that you need him to show up in, or when you're not even expecting him to show up in.
Very solid.
He always ends up creating good shorthanded goal opportunities. He always seems to be in the front of that. I'm always confused.
He aggressively kills penalties, and I love that.
I know we talked about getting a player on to talk about power plays and specialists and that. I would love to hear also a penalty killer who is actively trying to score shorthanded goals because Hartman always seems to find himself in that situation. I don't think it's luck. I don't think it's an anomaly. It is a skill that he has. Mm-hmm. Now, Hartman was a former first-round pick, scored 19 goals with the Blackhawks playing with Patrick Kane 4 years ago. He's not that player. He's not going to score you 20 goals a game. If you surround him with Sidney Crosby, Patrick Kane, the best centers in the league, yeah, he's probably going to pop in close to 20, but he's not that guy here. He's another person that you're going to enter contract talks with that could get interesting. He's not going to break the bank necessarily.
No, he's a third or fourth line guy. But that's the one. Don't be tempted to give him more.
Right.
Like, he's perfect what he's doing right now.
But Fletcher was always notorious for giving out multi-year contracts to bottom six forwards, and I don't want to logjam more of those situations. That being said, I want Ryan Hartman on this team. I think he's an important part of this team. I believe his role, he plays his role to perfection. What I don't want, our problem is with this team, we watch players, right? And we say, my God, they do not have a 1 or 2 center or even close, right? So then we start saying, what about Hartman? What about right? I got a tweet today saying, could they move Greenway? No, don't move Greenway. Greenway's a good wing. Let's not start that Charlie Coyle dance of you're a center, now you're a wing, now you're a center, they need to address this hole
externally or from Rossi or a youngster who's not here right now, Ryan Hartman is perfect doing what he is doing. And the day that you're like, you know what, you're playing so well, I'm going to put you on the first line full time, is the day that you put too much on his plate and you set him up to potentially fail, which I don't want. So I think what we should do is I think we should appreciate the pieces of the puzzle that are fitting, but not then try and force those pieces into a role that would be too much and would give them an assignment that they probably could not fulfill. All right, last thing.
Yeah.
You saw yesterday. I saw yesterday. It's going to start again, like a whirlwind. It is, in fact. Where's our? Give me a little bit of reckless speculation.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can do that.
Reckless speculation. Okay.
Oh, I think I might know where you're going.
Dateline Buffalo, New York. The Sabres are a mess. They were out just like Taylor Hall. Last time I checked was stuck. I don't know if he scored last night. He was stuck at 1 goal. Jeff Skinner is now a highly paid fourth line guy who can't get off that line. The last time I looked at their depth chart, and the rumblings again starting for a second consecutive year that Jack Eichel is not happy in Buffalo, and that this could be, I don't think it would happen during the course of the 2021 season, Dex, but this could be the summer that Jack Eichel is traded by Buffalo, because he basically throws up his hands and says what a guy like Karl Anthony Towns could say here, which is, I can't do this.
Right.
Okay. Here's my opinion on the reckless speculation of Eichel to the Wild, which is going to be discussed probably more and more intensively over the coming months because of this team's need to find a true number one center.
Yep.
I don't see the package that the Wild could give to the Sabres that would compete with the teams like the Rangers and Kings, who could send young talent and draft picks to Buffalo.
Okay. Here's the issue. Buffalo, although under new general management, is typically really stupid. Like, I can see them screwing this trade up. Not to say that they'll sell low on Jack Eichel, because the kid is a phenomenal talent that any team would love to have as their captain and as their forefront of a top line center and all that noise. But Buffalo is prone to doing something stupid. And I don't like to be in the situation where, everyone's when you throw out reckless trades, you're throwing out, let's just give them bad players and we'll get their good player back. Like, that's not how trades work.
That's not how Jack
Eichel trades work. Correct. Most importantly, right?
Yes.
So I don't think the Wild can fleece them, but I do think it helps that Buffalo is typically dumb when it comes to this kind of thing. Now, let's talk briefly the compensation that you could offer. The Wild have 2 first-round picks. They have Matthew Boldy, who was a top prospect. They have Matt Dumba, who they've been actively shopping, but I don't think his value on the market is not as high as we once thought it was.
Yes. Correct.
I don't want to go down this path, but I did see his name get thrown around, including from brother Liam. You could throw in Kevin Fiala. I wouldn't want to do that.
No, I'm not doing that.
I wouldn't say it's a ironclad no, but it's a non-starter for me.
Yeah,
it's a non-starter.
I'm with you. That'd be very tough for me.
So
I don't think I could do that.
The only real package you could do is 2 first-round picks, which you have this year, and probably Matthew Boldy. And is that still enough to get Jack Eichel?
I think the Rangers and Kings immediately can beat you on that. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I think they can both beat you on that trade. The other thing with Eichel behind the scenes that scares me is I've heard a lot of different things about him and how he is in the room and what he's like. Which you would have to be cognizant of. Like, you can't dismiss that.
So you think his character?
I think his character is
questionable.
I think his character's in question. Yes,
but is that because of the situation he's in Buffalo?
Well, that's what you would need to make damn sure that you know exactly what that is before you pull the trigger on that type of trade.
And don't you think too
that would concern me?
And I'm gonna guess, not just guess, I'm gonna assume that Bill Guerin can probably read that character in Jack Eichel. I don't know.
If you talk to enough, people, you easily can find out.
He probably has a betting system, but I think Billy, that this is the value of having Bill Guerin, I think, as a GM, is Billy knows what it takes to win. He knows what it takes.
People that can tell.
He knows what character means in the locker room. So if Guerin wants to go down that path of some
So
reckless speculation.
So
I'm all for it.
just to be clear, what would your offer be? So if you were Bill Guerin, like to me, Kaprizov, Fiala, untouchable. I can't trade them. But what would your offer be if you were to call Buffalo and try and pry away Jack Eichel in, let's say, July?
Starts as 2 first-round picks. Do you want to use both of the first-round picks you have this year? Could you defer one? Could you use one this year and then maybe your 2022?
Probably depends on where your picks are. If Pittsburgh and your pick are good, they'd probably want both of those right now. If one is a late pick, you might be able to defer and do one of the picks, the best pick for 21, and then a pick for 22, a first-round pick for 22.
So it's probably 2 first-round picks. I think you're right.
Let's
use that as a floor.
Okay.
It probably would have to include Matthew Boldy or Marco Rossi.
Yes, I agree with that.
They're going to want some type of prospect back. I mean, you could throw in Dumba, but do they also want Matt Dumba?
And I don't know if is their defense. I feel like they've got some young defensemen. I'm not sure they need, and I don't know if they're right or left-handed shots. I don't know if they're in need of a defenseman.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like Dumba would be a throw-in as opposed to the main ingredient.
They could use some defense.
Okay.
They could use some defense.
Okay.
So 2 first-round picks. I'm going to say Matthew Boldy. I don't necessarily agree with it, but for the sake of the argument in the trade,
sure.
2 first-round picks, Matthew Boldy, and maybe Matt Dumba.
Oh, play the sounder.
Reckless speculation.
All right. Okay. From the ice to the theater. That's right, folks. Action Movie Rewind returns, and this time, Mackey, Declan, and yours truly did a hard breakdown.
Oof.
Break it down of Beverly Hills Cop 2. Here are the results.